It got to be about 14 degrees last night, and there's frost all over everything, including the inside of the tent. So this is pretty cool. There's some carvings on this rock right here. I'm back out here in the Oregon desert, standing in a historical spot you've probably driven by before and never even noticed it. Hi, I'm Brian from Northwest Bronco. Welcome back to the channel. I'm back out here in the Oregon desert, standing in a historical spot you've probably driven by before and never even noticed it, and that's going to be Whitaker Holes. So because Whitaker Holes is right here, and the little shooting area is right there, and then where I'm going to set up camp is right over there, I actually decided to bring one of my new rifles out. Now I ended up getting one of those new Henry Big Boy lever action rifles, and I got it in .357, but I shoot 38 out of it, because then it goes with my revolver. And I was actually shooting with Nate a couple of months ago, and it wasn't real accurate because I put some better sights on it. So I took those better sights off and put the factory sights back on. Decided to go over here and do a little bit of shooting and to get it sighted in, and it turned out to be pretty darn accurate. Now where this place got its name, Whitaker Holes, is that John Orville Whitaker in 1911 actually came out here and decided to try and take advantage of the homestead boom. That was before all the water dried up, and he actually put a post office out here. So somewhere back in here there was a post office, and actually I think it was a post office slash house, because John Whitaker actually owned some land out here. He never actually patented any property out here, but he did live out here close by. Now besides John Whitaker having a house out here, there was also a family with the last name Gray that lived out here, and they actually patented about 3 sections of land right here at Whitaker Holes. Now that family actually had a daughter, I think she was about 4 years younger than John, named Mary Elizabeth Gray, and she was actually the first postmaster in that post office. Now over time, Mary actually became John's wife, so they ended up getting married, but the post office that was somewhere out here only lasted a year because it closed in 1912. And I can see why John would put a post office here, because this was a primary resting spot for people along the trail. Everybody knew about it, and it has everything. It has the holes back here where the water collected, and behind the camera is just this big, nice open area where a whole bunch of wagons can park. So now this is indeed named after John Whitaker, but you're not going to find any land patented by him out here because he wasn't out here very long. Eventually, when the water started drying up out here and people were kind of moving more towards the Willamette Valley, he ended up moving to the Corvallis area. But he didn't really live that long. John died in 1920, so he was only like 36 years old, and it's very, very little known what happened to Mary after that. Now, after doing a little bit of digging, I did find a woman named Mary Elizabeth Dunn Cook, who died in 1962 up in Washington, and I'm going to assume that's going to be the same Mary because on the website it shows a couple of past spouses, and one of them was John Orville Whitaker. So now that we got the history all done of this place, let's kind of do a little walk around, see what we can find. We're going to take a look at the area where I believed all the wagons would have parked behind you, and then we're going to walk down in the holes. So let's kind of get a lay of the land. That's Highway 20 up there. That's the holes, and as we swing around, this is actually the road that comes right through the center of this area, and over here is just a big flat area, and then the road kind of continues. So I'm not sure if this is the original road right here, or if Highway 20 was actually where the original road was. Look over here, because this would have been a logical place for a post office. See what we can find. So here's our first clue right here. Looks like a nice big thick piece of glass right here. There's another can right here. You can see where they opened it here, probably with a knife, a long time ago. And right there, that's a stove jack to a structure right there. So I wonder if this was the stove jack to that post office. Here's an old can, still has the handle on it. It's been shot to hell. So I'm just going to make my way down this creek bed. If I find anything interesting, I will stop and show it to you. So I was just following the left edge here, going in. Looks like somebody put a can right up here on the rocks. Solder bottom again. You know, it's actually pretty warm today. You know, it's January. It's about 48 degrees. Last night, it was cold. Last night when the sun goes down, it was about 14 degrees. And I actually did a little video up in my tent that I want to show you guys on how to stay warm while camping. And this works for a tent or in a rooftop tent. And it's kind of 4 items that you can use to keep yourself warm, and it's the best setup I've ever used, and I'm never going to probably go away from it because I've never had a cold night. So I'm going to show you that little video right now, then we'll come back, see what I found here. You know, it really doesn't matter how cold it gets outside because the sleeping setup that I use is absolutely perfect. So I have a whole video on this, but I'm just going to tell you briefly since I'm sitting up here with all the stuff, kind of what I use. One is a really good sleeping bag. This is a 0 degree Wiggy sleeping bag. It's an Arctic bag. It's nice and wide so you can toss and turn. It's even got the built-in hood that comes over your head, but it's down to 0 degrees, and I have never been cold with the sleeping bag. Another cool thing about buying a Wiggy's bag is that they do come with sleeping booties for your feet, and they're kind of slippery and like this material, so your feet don't get all tangled up at the end of the sleeping bag. So yeah, it's just kind of the perfect bag. I'll never buy another bag besides a Wiggy's. Now here's the trick to staying warm. It's not just the bag, but actually it's this little throw you get on Amazon, super cheap, like 14 bucks. It doesn't work really well to put over your legs and stuff. It doesn't get that warm, but when you put it in the sleeping bag, it makes the inside of the sleeping bag just nice and toasty for the whole night. It never turns off. So it doesn't have an on-off switch. It doesn't have temperature control. It's just a very mild little throw when it comes to heat, but it's the perfect temperature when you put it in your sleeping bag. So all you need to run this blanket is just a simple power supply, like a Jackery. I use a Dometic, but as long as it has a 12-volt plug, you just plug it in, and this blanket will run for like 12 hours, easily 12 hours. So another thing I keep up here, and this is just for when I first go to bed or when I wake up, is just this little Covia Cupid heater. And it's just a little butane canister you just slide in there. And this is easily, really warms up a rooftop tent. Great little heater, love it. I use it to dry out the inside of my tent, I use it to keep warm, when I get up in the morning. So great little heater, highly recommended. All right, so we're back, and hopefully that video helped you out. If you want any of those links to any of those items I talked about, I have a video actually on that exact setup. Just scroll down my video pile, and you'll see one called How to Stay Warm Winter Camping, and you'll find links under that video. So this is pretty cool. There's some carvings on this rock right here. Man, there's little pieces of glass and dishes and things everywhere around here. What I am going to do though is I'm going to get the metal detector, and I'm going to come up here. All right, don't make fun of me too much. I really do suck at metal detecting. I have this little cheap fold-out metal detector and some basic hand tools, and all I'm really looking for is just some interesting things around homestead sites. Maybe a coin, maybe a ring. Never found those before, but I have found some pretty neat stuff. Let me ask you something. I keep finding these little rocks here. I don't know what these are. So if you know anything about geology, what exactly kind of rock is this? I found a few of them out here. Oh man, I thought I found my first coin, but I didn't. I just found like this little, looks like a little rivet type thing here. Here's a fun little find. We're actually back up where the post office was because I didn't find anything over there in the holes except for some tobacco tins and things. But this is an old buckle. Well, that's about it for this trip. Hope you enjoyed the tour of Whitaker Holes. And don't forget, if you want to find it, it's in between Milliken and Brothers, and it's just right off Highway 20. You can't miss it. But it is starting to get late in the afternoon, so I'm going to go ahead and find a place to camp. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a like. Please subscribe for more Bronco content. See you next time.